Title: Losing my job taught me what security really means. My name's Liam. I remember the exact moment my job ended, not because of what was said, but because of what I felt. It was a Thursday. Cloudy skies over Birmingham, coffee still warm in my travel mug. I thought it would be a normal day: meetings, emails, another sprint review. Instead, I was called into a glass-walled conference room. HR was already seated, along with my manager, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Then came the words, "We're making some structural changes. Your role is being made redundant." I didn't say anything, just nodded slowly. My ears buzzed like I'd gone underwater. I watched their mouths move, but none of it landed. Restructuring, business needs, severance, outplacement support. All I could think was, 8 years. I gave this company 8 years. 8 years of showing up on time, meeting deadlines, leading projects, skipping holidays, giving more than I had. I'd done everything right: climbed the ladder, kept my head down, worked hard. And just like that, I was disposable. When I got home, I sat on the edge of my bed, still in my work clothes. I stared at the wall for what felt like an hour. Was I angry? Not really. Just hollow. Like someone had unplugged me. Then came the fear. Rent, bills, my gym membership, my reputation, my worth. I wasn't just losing a job, I was losing the identity that came with it. The title, the income, the structure, the sense of being safe. I checked my bank account, just over $200. Enough to float for a while, but not long. My severance would buy me time, but not peace. That night, lying in bed, I kept replaying the same thought. I did everything right. How did this happen? The world I trusted, a stable job equals a stable life, wasn't holding up anymore. And I didn't know what would. That evening, I sat at my desk, the screen lighting up my face as I opened my CV for the first time in 3 years. The document felt outdated, distant, like it belonged to someone else. The words "results-driven project manager" suddenly felt hollow. I forced myself to update the dates, add a few bullet points, and attach it to job applications I wasn't even sure I wanted. My fingers moved automatically, but my heart wasn't in it. I had tabs open for LinkedIn, Indeed, and the company's exit policy. I refreshed my inbox obsessively, hoping someone, anyone, would reply. The room felt colder than usual. I pulled on a hoodie and kept typing. Rent was due in 6 days. The direct debit would hit my account whether I had a job or not. I calculated quickly: between my savings and the small severance, I could last maybe 2 months. 3, if I didn't eat out. 4, if I stopped contributing to my emergency fund. The irony didn't escape me. This was the emergency. I called my parents that night. I told them everything, even though I didn't want to. My mum asked, "Are you okay?" in that gentle voice she uses when she already knows I'm not. My dad told me not to worry and to get back out there. I nodded, even though we were on the phone. Telling my friends was harder. Most of them still had their jobs. Or if they didn't, they had side hustles or partners to share the load. I felt like I was the only one drowning in silence. I typed out a group chat message 3 times and deleted it each time. It wasn't just fear. It was shame. Not just about losing the job, but about losing control. I started thinking strange things. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought. Maybe I'd coasted for years and finally got found out. Maybe I wasn't worth anything without a job title. When your identity is tied to a paycheck, losing that paycheck feels like losing yourself. I told myself I needed to bounce back. Apply to 20 jobs a day. Get back in the game. Keep the mask on. But every rejection email chipped away at my confidence. Every unread application felt like proof that I was invisible. I started sleeping in, skipping workouts, forgetting to eat, then eating too much. Some nights I'd just lie on the sofa in the dark, scrolling through job boards like they held the answers. None of them did. The panic wasn't loud. It was quiet. A slow, steady hum in the background that never shut off. It followed me to bed, into the shower, onto walks. And it kept asking the same question over and over. If I'm not my job, who am I? 2 weeks passed. Still no calls, no emails, just silence. I started dreading the sound of my inbox. It used to be a symbol of progress, deadlines, updates, decisions. Now it was just digital emptiness. A ghost town of auto replies and rejection templates. We've gone with another candidate. We'll keep your application on file. Most didn't reply at all. My mornings lost their shape. I'd wake up around 10, sometimes later, groggy and aching like I hadn't slept at all. My once tidy room grew cluttered: mugs on the nightstand, laundry on the chair, shoes scattered across the floor. Breakfast blurred into lunch. Meals turned into snacks grabbed from the cupboard: crisps, leftover takeaway, toast. I stopped caring what I ate. What did it matter? Sleep came late, or not at all. I'd lie in bed, scrolling job listings like a zombie. I wasn't reading, just swiping. Dozens of openings, hundreds of applicants. I felt smaller with every scroll, less visible, less necessary. People messaged, "Any updates?" I left them on read. The flat was too quiet. My thoughts were too loud. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was suffocating. Then one night, scrolling mindlessly through Twitter, I saw a post, "When you can't control the wind, adjust the sails." I don't know why that line stopped me, but it did. I read it again. Then again. I wasn't in control of the economy. I couldn't force companies to call me, couldn't fast forward to a stable paycheck. But maybe I could change direction. Maybe I wasn't broken, maybe my strategy was. I closed the tabs, took a deep breath, sat back on the sofa and stared at the ceiling. Adjust the sails, I whispered to myself. I didn't know what that would look like yet, but I knew I couldn't keep doing nothing and expecting a door to open. Maybe it was time to stop chasing things that weren't working. Maybe it was time to make something work for me. The next morning I made tea, not just for the caffeine, but for the ritual. I needed something slow, warm, grounding. I sat by the window with a notebook I hadn't touched in months, the one I used to use for planning projects. This time, I opened it for myself. At the top of the page, I wrote a question: what can I control? Not the economy, not recruiters, not the job market, but surely something. So I made a list. My spending. I went through my bank statements and cancelled everything non-essential. Streaming services I barely used. A gym membership I hadn't touched since lockdown. A coffee subscription. Monthly online tools for a side hustle I hadn't looked at in ages. By the end of that afternoon, I'd slashed nearly $150 from my monthly expenses. It wasn't a solution, but it gave me breathing space. My time. Instead of scrolling job boards for hours, I chose one skill I knew was in demand: Excel automation. I found a free course online. It wasn't exciting at first, but I stuck with it. A few days in, I built a budgeting sheet that calculated expenses by category and tracked savings progress. Simple, but useful. And I made it for me. My health, I started walking every morning. No phone, no music. Just me, my trainers, and the grey Birmingham streets. At first, the walks felt pointless. But soon, I noticed I was sleeping better, thinking clearer. The fog in my mind began to lift slowly, like sunrise through mist. One afternoon I posted on LinkedIn. Nothing dramatic, just a short message: between jobs at the moment. If anyone needs help with spreadsheets, budgeting templates, or project planning tools, happy to offer support for free while I retrain. I nearly didn't post it. It felt vulnerable, like I was admitting weakness. But within a few hours, someone replied. A small business owner needed help organizing their invoices. I sent her a basic tracker. She loved it. A week later, someone else messaged me, asked if I could build a dashboard to track their marketing budget. I did that one too. No pay, just practice. But something clicked. I was useful again. Not in the same way as before. Not in a boardroom or with a title. But I was helping people. I was doing. And strangely, that felt more secure than any paycheck I'd ever received. Because I was building something. Slowly. From scratch. On my own terms. Security, I realized, isn't about what you have. It's about what you know you can rebuild, even when everything else is gone. 3 months after I lost my job, I received a bank notification. $240 received from J. Davies Creative Limited. It was my first official freelance payment. Not a fortune, not life-changing, but it felt like gold. I stared at the screen for a long time, smiling in disbelief. That money wasn't handed to me by a boss. I earned it on my own with skills I sharpened during what was supposed to be my downfall. It felt different from a salary. Not just freer, but more mine. I opened the spreadsheet I'd built weeks earlier. I logged the payment, added a note about the project, and split the income across 3 simple categories: living expenses, savings, reinvestment. There was pride in those small boxes. Instead of clinging to every pound out of fear, I started seeing money as a tool again, something I could work with, plan with. I tightened up my budget, stopped pretending I'd go back to normal soon. This was the new normal, but it didn't scare me anymore. A few days later, I helped my neighbor, Tom, redo his CV. He'd seen my LinkedIn post and knocked on my door one morning with a hopeful smile and a USB stick. We worked on it together at the kitchen table over tea. The next week, he landed 2 interviews. Helping him felt better than anything I'd done in my old job. That night, for the first time in months, I slept straight through. No 3 a.m. spirals, no money nightmares, no panic, just sleep. Because it wasn't just about the 240. It was about what that payment represented. That I could start again, that I could build again. Not the same life, maybe, but maybe one with more intention, more self-respect, more balance. I wasn't secure in the way the world usually defines it, but I was grounded for the first time in a long time. I sat by the window, laptop closed, tea in hand. No job title, no fancy office, no one waiting on a morning report. But for the first time in ages, I didn't feel small. I felt steady. The world still felt uncertain headlines, costs, chaos. But inside me, something had shifted. I thought security came from a paycheck, from HR contracts, ID badges, and scheduled raises. But now I know real security is something you build. With every new skill, with every budget tweak, with every morning you get up and try again. Security isn't about what you have today, it's about knowing you can adapt, learn, and survive tomorrow. And that's something no job can give you. It lives in you. It grows with every challenge you face, and don't run from. I still don't have it all figured out, but I've got enough to keep going, to sleep soundly, to help someone else. And that's more than enough. Moral lesson: security isn't something you're given. It's something you build through flexibility, skills, and belief in yourself. CTA ending. Yup, follow for more real stories on surviving tough times. Subscribe for weekly lessons on how to adapt, rebuild, and thrive.